Hi, this is Angie Tells All, and this is my official labor and delivery story. My last video, I was 36 weeks, so let's just get into it because there's a lot to tell, and I don't want this to be too long. Yeah, I have circles under my eyes because I haven't slept very well in like a month. But I guess that's reality when you have a newborn, so okay, where do we start? So, I was 36 plus 5 when this all went down. Yeah, I believe 36 plus 5. So it was Wednesday, June the 10th. And I was literally sitting at my kitchen table organizing some paperwork and stuff, just going through things, just trying to get rid of things that I didn't really need before the baby arrived, things of that nature, nesting, typical nesting behavior, I suppose. And I got a call from maternal fetal medicine, which I'd been seeing maternal fetal medicine throughout my whole pregnancy because I was high risk and there were some issues, that came up. So I answered it and she was like, "Well, we got your blood work and your liver enzymes are high." And she was like, "I want you to go into the hospital." Um, and she had basically indicated at that point that it would probably be an induction situation if the hospital ran my blood work and the liver enzymes were still high or higher. So basically at that point we were kind of like in a little bit of a gray area, like go into the hospital, have them monitor you, we'll run some more tests and see basically where we end up. So you can imagine my shock with that. Um, yeah, so I had already had my bag packed and things. So, I was basically ready to go. Sorry, I just kicked my tripod. I was basically ready to go. So we went ahead and we left. And I think my husband at that point was thinking, oh no, they're not going to induce you. They'll probably send you home, blah, blah, blah. So we get there and it was like afternoon, evening time. So my husband called off work for the next day and they were gonna put in an IV like right then, but the nurse like couldn't get a vein because I was dehydrated, which I don't know how it's dehydrated because I drink water all the time. But anyway, the nurse couldn't get a line for the IV. So I was like, I'm at this point, I'm refusing the IV, right? Because I'm like, I don't even want to be here to begin with, let alone get an IV that's probably not necessary at this point. So they did blood work and unfortunately at some point the blood work came back and it was pretty late. It was pretty late in the evening when the blood work came back. I can't remember what time, but it was like nighttime at that point. And my liver enzymes were even worse. And I think they ran one more set of blood work, but this was like Wednesday into Thursday. So between Wednesday and Thursday, they ran another set of blood work and it kept going up. Like it was not coming down, it was going up. So they kind of went back and forth because here's the thing, my regular OB didn't seem to want to induce me, but maternal fetal medicine did. So it kind of went back and forth for a while, and that added to like my stress and my anxiety and the trauma of the whole situation. I'm just like, someone make a decision, okay? Like either let me go home, but at that point I wasn't feeling good anyway because my side had been hurt. I actually missed a different doctor's appointment. I think it was on Wednesday, actually, Wednesday, June the 10th. I believe it was a neurology appointment, and I missed that because, like, I was not feeling like I was able to drive. Like my right side was hurting pretty bad. So my right side started hurting even worse. But like I say, my regular OB didn't seem like he was really on board with induction. But maternal fetal medicine was kind of pushing for it because, you know, they were going off of my history. Okay, she's had preeclampsia before, and um, that's a serious life threatening situation. So I think they knew that things were like going wonky and they weren't going to be, you know, stabilized for my safety and for the baby's safety. So they finally came in and were like, okay, well, we're going to induce you. So basically, that was Thursday, and they didn't start induction until Thursday. And by induction, I will just explain that a little bit. So, um, they did a check. They checked. What was that weird flash? I saw a weird flash. Sorry about that. So I lost my train of thought. I cannot even think these days. I'm so tired. Like I'm just I'm so tired. Um what was I saying? Totally don't know what I was saying. Oh, I know what I was saying. So they checked my cervix and I was already dilated like 3 centimeters and I think like 70 or 80% effaced. So the next step for induction in my case, because I was already dilated and effaced, they could just go right to Pitocin. So Pitocin, if you don't know, is it causes your uterus to contract. And when that happens, because I've had Pitocin before, when that happens, it's way more painful than like a natural contraction. So before you have your baby, if you go into natural labor, your uterus is going to contract. And because it's a natural process, it's painful still. I'm not going to say it's not painful, but Pitocin contractions, at least for me anyway, maybe there are some women out there that are like, oh, I have Pitocin, it was no problem. Pitocin contractions are hard. They're hard contractions. They're intense, even at the low levels, because when they start giving you the Pitocin, they give it a low dose, a low dose, and they crank it up and up and up. So they started that jazz. And yeah, it's painful. It's very painful. And the thing of it is, they actually started it, and then partway through my labor, they stopped it. Because after they broke my water, and I'm going to back up and talk about the breaking of the water because that needs to be discussed. But after they broke my water, they wanted to see if my body would naturally, because once your water breaks, the baby's head naturally drops, and it puts more pressure on the cervix, so it usually encourages your body to naturally contract and go from there and speeds up the process. So once they broke my water, they actually stopped the Pitocin for a bit to see if my natural processes would kick in and bump up the labor. So let me back up though and talk about the water breaking. So after I had had the Pitocin for a while, they came in and they tried to break my water. And when I tell you it was painful, like I have a high pain tolerance, but I mean it was excruciatingly painful. Like I was screaming, I was screaming. And I don't understand because I've had my water broken before. Like I don't know if it was because my cervix wasn't dilated as much as it was when the times I've had my water broken before, but it was painful. It was excruciating. And he actually stopped at that point. And he was like, okay, you know, she's crying. Like I was bawling, like I was crying. And I don't cry during pain. Like I say, I have a very high pain tolerance. So he was like, okay, we're going to leave it for now. And he's like, I don't want to make you cry. which I appreciated that, you know. Um, so he went out and they just kind of like started cranking up the Pitocin a little more and um, let it go from there. And then they waited a while, and I think it was like 2, maybe closer to 3 hours when he came back in and tried to break my water again. And that time I pushed through it. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just like, this has to be done. Like, we can't go back. They've already started the Pitocin, so I went with it, and he was able to do it. And from there is when they paused the Pitocin, and they're like, okay, we'll see if her labor will start naturally now and speed up. Yeah, that didn't happen. That did not happen. Okay, it didn't. And it all, kind of fell apart from there. I mean, I was okay and all. I made it through, but they had to come back and restart the Pitocin. And they started bumping it up even quicker than when they did that, and the contractions were getting really hard. But here's the thing, like, I did not want the epidural because I have an arrhythmia and I have left ventricular hypertrophy. So I was concerned, like, if I got the epidural, like, that it would make things wonky, because I had a wonky experience when I had an epidural the last time. So I refused the epidural, and yeah, for a while it was okay. Well, it was super painful, but I used the peanut ball. And if you don't know what the peanut ball is, it's literally a ball that's shaped like a peanut. And in labor, you can use it in different positions to help labor along, help you deal with the contractions a little better. So I did use the peanut ball for a while. I also used the regular birthing ball, like the exercise ball that you sit on, and I bounced, and I swayed through some contractions. So I did a few things there. And because I had a doula initially I had a doula, and I think I talked about that in one of my videos. She was not there because I went into the situation as an emergency induction, and I wanted to meet with her face to face earlier in my pregnancy, but her policy was like wait until like 37 weeks. I never got to that point. So I was not comfortable like telling her that I was in labor. I mean, I told her after the fact, just so she wasn't continuing to contact me for like appointments and whatnot. But I wasn't comfortable contacting her initially and telling her, oh yeah, meet me at the hospital, because I had never met her in person. So, but she was helpful for the times I did see her, because, she gave me different exercise techniques and things like that. And we talked about, ways to handle labor pain and things like that. So I did use some of those things during my labor, which I definitely think helped me deal with the pain and helped me work through it. So the exercise ball was something that I definitely used. I changed positions frequently because they say you should do that, and I think that really helped, because I mean my labor was not like the Pitocin was not. It was working, but it was very slow, and it would seem like contractions would kind of fizzle out. So I think if I hadn't like gotten up and moved around and stuff, I don't think it would have progressed like it did. I think I might have ended up having to have a C-section. So thankfully, those things did encourage my labor to continue, and it started getting really painful. They offered me the epidural a couple of times, but like I say, because of my heart issues, I was like, well, I don't want to take the epidural. I refused it. And I can tell you by the end, there I was regretting that decision. So I don't even remember what level my Pitocin got up to, but it was, or what dosage it got up to, but I mean, my son was born at 9:42 in the morning on Friday, June the 12th. And I mean, I'm telling you, that last hour, keep your mind open for pain for pain management. It is there to help you if you're, you know, already pregnant and you're thinking and considering about what you want to do. Just, I'm not saying get the epidural or get pain management, but just keep your mind open, especially, I will say this, I will add this on, especially if you're getting an induction, because that last hour, I literally thought I was gonna die. Like, mm. Well, I mean, it was awful. Like, it was. I don't want to scare you if you're like watching this and maybe you already know you have to be induced, but that pitocin is nothing to mess with, especially when it gets to that point. So, I mean, when we got to the pushing stage, I was in agony. Like, there was the doctor and like several nurses in there, and the doctor comes in, and I'm like already screaming at that point. Like, I am screaming. And here's the thing. Here's another thing that I tried to do to help me through the contractions, because I saw this on, I think it was YouTube or maybe an article that I read, but it said if you hum like through your contractions. That's what I was doing, like, basically the whole time, and it helped. I'm not going to say it didn't help. It helped, but at that last part, I was screaming through them. Like, there was no humming anymore. Like, it was like, I just gotta scream, I gotta scream. And at that point, they're coming like really close together. Like, by the time you're at the point where you're gonna be pushing, like, they're close together. So the nurses and the doctor comes in, and they like look at me, and like this one nurse, I just remember kind of making eye contact with her, like I'm like mid scream, and she's like literally like I think I freaked her the hell out. But what are you gonna do? Like, I was like, I'm gonna, and the doctor's like, just like, oh, let her scream. I'm like, well, are you gonna try and stop me? What are you gonna do? Shove a sock in my mouth or something? I don't know. That was kind of funny, but well, now it's kind of funny. At the time, it wasn't. But, um, and then basically, he comes over, and I remember someone telling me to like hold my legs back, because when you're like ready to push, like they want your legs like way back, to give to sorry, I kicked my tripod again, to like open up the pelvis. So I'm like laying there, and he's like, hold your legs back, hold your legs back. I'm like, I can't. I can't. And everyone was like, oh yes, you can. I'm like, the fuck I can. Like, I'm in pain here. You want me to hold my legs back? Like, I can barely breathe. And I don't even remember if I tried holding my legs back, or any. I don't think I did. I don't remember. I just remember like this urge to push, and like the contractions were so bad. Like, I felt like I was being ripped, literally ripped in half from the inside out. And I just remember the doctor telling me to push, and I mean, I gave it all I got. And he came out in one push. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. Like, it's got to end. Like, there has to be an end point. I can't take it anymore. So, I mean, I pushed as hard as I could, and you get like this intense, like, burning. They call it the Ring of Fire. Um, that's a good Johnny Cash song. If you don't know Johnny Cash, look that up and look that song up, because Ring of Fire is a good song. Anyway, they call this the Ring of Fire because it's like an intense burning I was gonna say situation. Well, it was a situation, but also a sensation, an intense sensation. And I just pushed as hard as I could, and yeah, he basically came out in one push, and everyone in the room was calling me the one push mama. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this just happened. Yeah, it was crazy. It was very intense. And I'm glad I didn't have to push for very long because honestly, like all kidding aside, I don't know how I would have managed at that point without pain medicine. Like I was about ready to lose my mind. It was so painful. And again, I'm not trying to scare you if you're watching this and you happen to know that you are going to be getting an induction, because there are pain options and pain management options. So, I mean, never feel like you have to do it natural. I'm glad that I did do it natural, and I think I've already explained my reasons why I personally did it naturally. But I mean, doing it with pain management, there's no shame in that. So keep your options open is all I would say on that. And think about what's best for you, because every woman's experience is different. Um and there's absolutely no right or wrong answer the way I see it. So 9:42 a.m. was when he was born, and yeah, he was fine. He was healthy. He weighed 6 pounds, 13 ounces. He was 20 inches long, I believe. And yeah, so that's the main thing, is that he was healthy and I was okay. I did have some tears. I had a second-degree tear, so but that healed up very quickly. I can definitely say that was not an issue. I did develop a UTI, which I'm currently fighting now because I have 3 bacterias. I get UTIs all the time. I might have mentioned that before. I might not have. I don't know. But there were issues during my pregnancy, and I had to have a catheter at some point. I think it was when they were stitching me up. They put a catheter in to empty my bladder, and I don't know if that encouraged the UTI or what happened, but I now have 3 bacteria that I'm fighting, and one of them is an antibiotic resistant strain. So supposedly I'm supposed to go into the hospital and get treatment for that. So I don't know. I've kind of been going back and forth with the doctors and my cardiologist because of my heart issue, and he said that I couldn't take the last antibiotic that they called in. So I think I'm pretty much out of options without getting IV antibiotics, but I mean, I might have gotten the UTI anyway. I'm not saying it was related to my labor and delivery situation at all. It could have been, like I say, I get them all the time. So, you know, that is pretty much my labor and delivery story. And then we were discharged Saturday the 13th. And yeah, it's just been a whirlwind since then. And, I don't know. It's been an adjustment. If you know, you know. If you don't know and you're pregnant, you will know. No, all joking aside, if you have postpartum struggles, I'm definitely having some postpartum struggles right now. I would say just reach out to help, and therapy has been really critical, I think, for my well-being. So there's help out there. Just reach out if you are having struggles, because it is a big adjustment. It really is. But thankfully, like I say, we both the baby and I went through labor and delivery well. There were no issues. He's healthy. He has another appointment on Monday, actually. It's going to be his 1 month appointment. I'm so excited. Like, that's a big milestone. Um, and he's doing good. And, I'm having some struggles, but I'll get through it. And thank God for my husband. He's been just amazing. Like, I don't know how I would do it without him and the support that I do have in my life. So I greatly appreciate that, and I thank God for it, because it's definitely helped a lot. But that is pretty much the story. I want to cut this off before it gets too long, and I will hopefully be, I can't say when I'll upload another video. My life is a little bit chaotic right now, but I will try to keep uploading and giving updates and telling it all. Thanks for watching and have a great evening. Bye.